Have you defined the moment when you make the decision to walk away? The universe isn't just out there, it's interacting with you. Claim your power by embracing the unknown. This is Tracy with Tracy Talks, and I'm here to ignite your curiosity. Don't just listen, embrace it. I think I would actually love to live in a world where my relationships did not feel complicated. I can always go down the rabbit hole of why. Why am I experiencing this? Why am I having difficulty in truly connecting with these people in my life? There are times when I consider, do I continue with these relationships that have an enormous amount of lessons? Or do I just start over with new people who don't know me, who don't have any expectations, who there isn't a shared history and past with? Do I continue to have relationships with people who can trigger me, who seem to bring up all of these doubts and fears and apprehensions? I'm not always aware of them until I have a response, until I have an interaction. It makes me wonder, do each of you have this moment, this line in the sand drawn, meaning you and this person or me and this person who have tense exchanges? Is there a line in the sand where you actively make the decision, it is no longer in my best interest to continue this relationship? And I bring this up because, again, we have the relationships in our life, the current situations. We know what they are. We know where our triggers are. We know where the complicated exchanges are going to exist. The idea of going out into the world, creating new relationships and friendships is often this very romantic reality that we have created in our mind. We create that it's somehow going to be easy. We're going to connect with people that we really like. It's going to be a mutual relationship where both of us seem to give and take. But that's not the reality. Oftentimes, creating new friendships is even more difficult because we have learned from our past. We have learned from our past that in these areas, if I share, oftentimes my trust is broken. And those painful exchanges and experiences then impact how we create new friendships. All of that to say is it's not easy to go make new friends. And I know from my own experience, I am less willing to participate in a situation with a new person where those difficult situations that I have to work through, that I have to communicate, I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to put in a high level of effort into a new friendship, into a new relationship, into a new situation. And I guess at this point, if I have to invest so much energy and time and effort to get something off of the ground, to even get it to work, what does that mean it's going to be for the remainder of the relationship? Is it ever going to get easier? I don't see how it could ever change. I don't see how the dynamic could go from difficult to easy when my innate structure, beliefs, how I live is not conducive to yours. I see people really having to work hard at staying with someone. I can't imagine doing that at this point in my life. I can't imagine giving up parts of me, leaving parts of me somewhere along the road because the person that I have decided to spend my life with doesn't like that innate quality about me. I can't imagine ever intentionally getting into a situation where I'm forcing myself to change my behavior, my core behavior, because the person I am with says they don't like it. And it brings me back to this original question of where is that line in the sand drawn for you? Where is that? And if someone is asking you to give up who you are because they don't like who you actually are, they want you to be a different version of you. They want you to show up in the relationship as a different version. Then they don't want you. They want a different person. And where is that line in the sand that's too much? And why have we been willing to change ourselves so that we can be loved? That's not love. That's not love in any form. And it's interesting because I know for myself, at this point, I can see when things aren't going to work. And I'm not even willing to give it a try. I'm not even willing to try it on. And there are times when people push back on me, like, well, you haven't even given it a chance. Because I know it's not going to work. I can see it now. I would have to give up too much of myself for this thing to work. I'm not willing to do that ever again. But I do see people around me who are at least willing to try. Well, it's not perfect, but let me just try it on to see if we can make this relationship come to a point where both of us feel like it's working for both of us. That is too much work for me. Again, I'm going to reference yesterday's podcast where I talk about, yes, I can get this goal. I can get this thing that I think that I want. But for me to maintain this relationship, I have to continue to put out a high level of emotion and energy just to make it work. I am never going to sign up for that at this point in my life. I'm never going to sign up for that. I am never going to sign up for the job that's going to require me to jump through hoops on holidays and weekends. I'm not going to do it. It is not worth it for me to invest at that level forever. The relationship that requires me to work hard just so we can come together and agree on basic things in life. I'm not going to sign up for that. Do you know where that line is for you? There are parts of me that are still amazed that people are willing to even give it a try. And I have to just think, wow, look at you. Wanting to see the best in the situation, wanting to see the best in someone. That's not where I'm at. That's not this place in my life where I'm at. I have spent too many years trying to work on things and make things work. Let me give you an example of that. My wonderful father, who is amazing at basically everything, can build anything, can fix any mechanical thing, and it's pretty amazing when you look at it from that perspective. He has a lot of equipment that is very old. And this old equipment requires a lot of maintenance. It requires a lot of tinkering. It doesn't always work. And there's a lot of time and effort spent into maintaining its working condition to the point where it has taken on a whole life of its own, that it's part of the project now. If he says he's going to cut down the tree, you just know that the chainsaw is going to get too hot. It's going to need to cool down. The chain's probably going to slip. The chain's going to come off. And there are all of these tools that are going to be needed just to cut down the tree. There have been times where I've had conversations with him, buy a new chainsaw that works. Oh, I can't do that. There's all of these explanations that he brings up as to why he cannot buy a new chainsaw. The reality is, he is accustomed to having to work at maintaining this level, this expectation in his head. He would rather work on something than buy something new and then have all of this extra time to just relax. That is not his goal. He wants to work. And that is one of the main differences in our relationship. I don't want to have to work so hard at getting something done. I would rather buy the new chainsaw, get the thing done, and move on to something else that I really want, that really matters, that's really important. There are different types of people out there. There are a lot of people that just want the work. They like the idea of the work. They are accustomed to things being difficult and just accepting the situation as difficult. That is not where I am at in my life. I would rather buy the new chainsaw, have the situation over, and then move on to something else. Where are you at in your life? What version of you are you at? Where is the line in the sand for you? Do you want to continue to work at situations that are consuming your energy, that are consuming your time, your emotions? Or do you want to have relationships in your life that work well, that are well oiled, that require very little maintenance? Where is that moment where you say, this is enough? Thank you for listening to this episode of Tracy Talks. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. Friends can find Tracy Talks available on iTunes, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram and Facebook at More Tracy Talks. And until next time, we meet again.